Welcome to another AMA on this beautiful Tuesday. I am Tom Dermody, Mayor of the City of LaPorte, and today we're welcoming back Chief Paul Brettin, and for the first time, we're welcoming our Human and Community Relations Director, Jen Noll. And, there's been a lot of tension in our country right now surrounding police brutality. So we wanted to bring on Chief and Jen to talk about what our police force is currently doing in the city of LaPorte, and kind of setting the standard. They're kind of part of the solution, not part of the problem. And as we've said since day one, since it happened, we do not condone, support George Floyd and that scenario. We do not accept it and tolerate it and believe it was in any manner correct to do. Our prayers and thoughts have gone out to the Floyd family, and we just do not accept it. But we are not Minneapolis. We are not New York City. Our officers are committed to our community, and I want to also point out to Chief Brettin, I think we were all pleased with how the peaceful protest went. It was nice to see our young people from our community be involved to try to make a difference, and also to see the police force from the city of LaPorte and the county and Michigan City interact with the public.
Oh, 100%. Went better than we could have ever expected, and that was good. We met with the protesters. It starts with you, and it starts with them. They promised us how it was going to go, and they held to their word, and we held to our word.
And that's the thing. They even brought to clean up afterwards. They had said we're not going to allow damage to happen to our community, and nothing did. So I was very proud of everybody. We had differences of opinion just across the street, right there on Indiana Avenue, and everybody held to their side, shared their voice, but again, kept it in a positive manner. But we do not accept this type of police behavior that's happened in New York City, that's happened in Minneapolis, to any of those individuals from different races, colors. We want to welcome everybody to our community in LaPorte. We're an open community, and we welcome everyone of all, again, color, race, and we think LaPorte's going to be the place to be for the future. And we thought we'd bring up a couple of topics here. One of the top questions we've been receiving is there's been an online movement called 8 Can't Wait. It's 8 policies that they believe every state should adopt. And one of the things that I think LaPorte has done even years ago, has adopted these many years ago, and if it's okay, Chief, we'll kind of walk through each one of them. Banning chokeholds and strangleholds.
That's covered in our SOP. We've been practicing that for at least 15 years. The state requires us to have defensive tactics training every year. They require 2 hours. We do 3 hours. We've always been taught stay away from the neck. Those are only acceptable if you're in a blackout situation as the officer and you think that once you're blacking out, you don't know what's going to happen. That is the only time that would ever be acceptable. Not in this situation. The situation you saw in Minneapolis, we call that the prone position when they're handcuffed. We're taught you get them up on their butt so they can breathe. And that wasn't done, obviously, in that situation. But that's something that's driven home to us every year, every training.
What about requiring de-escalation?
Yes, that's also SOP. We always tell officers, I was a training officer for years, the best thing that you have is your mouth. And you start talking to people, you'll see certain people don't take kindly to one officer. We'll pull that officer out and have another one. You can't take it personal, but that's all part of it. Nobody wants to get physical. I can say that. Everybody wants a peaceful end to everything.
And we already have a message, oh boy, a whole 3 hours of ground fighting skills. You're constantly training.
Right.
How often per year? Is it every year?
The state requirement's 3 hours, or 2 hours. We do 3 specifically for that. But we have range dates where we're practicing. It's not just going out there and shooting your gun. It's all de-escalation, it's hands-on, it's things like that.
And you also have field training officers
Right.
right here in LaPorte that individuals ride with to continual train as well.
Well, that's, yeah, so when they get out of academy, that's, they're with a field training officer. Everybody, I've always said everybody's a training officer. Everybody can learn from everybody. Even when you've been around forever like me, you learn something every day.
So what about requiring warning before shooting?
That's also an SOP. I could see that'd be difficult if you're in that situation. That's the last resort, obviously, but that is in our SOP. You will give warning.
Requiring exhausting all alternatives before shooting, which is also in your SOP.
Right. That's obvious. That's part of our force continuum.
And what is that process? So talking,
Yes, the force continuum, it ends up looking like a pyramid. We've had that for years. If you see it on a graph, we have that in our policy. It starts out with verbal, and what it is, it's taking it one step higher than what the person that is aggressive towards you would be doing, because you would have to go, say they're going soft hand, you may have to go further if you can't gain control. But it's one step, and it's one step for each. You never jump 2-3 steps.
so requiring officers to intervene or report incidents of excessive force.
That's SOP. We have, that's all part of it. Supervisors have to do a report as well.
But also requiring officers to intervene, meaning if they're witnessing like happened in Minneapolis, they're just not going to stand. They're trained
Oh, they're
to just watch.
Right, and they're expected to step in and remove that officer from that situation.
And maybe as we go through this, some of these things, maybe that's why we haven't had reports of this happening.
It's possibly could be. Like I say, it's been driven to us for years. Long before anybody ever said anything about chokeholds or it was ever talked about, we were being trained on that. We're trained on the in custody asphyxiation, where you don't transport somebody laying down in a squad car. You got to set them up. If you have to put an officer back there to get them to the jail, we do it. So that person is standing up, they're being monitored. Or sitting up, I'm sorry, not standing up, but sitting up in the car.
We have a couple questions. The city has a great chief and a great mayor. Oh, well, thank you. Best combo in many years. I appreciate that. And Dusty Shove said, I love the one-up rule. That's how he operates.
Right, and that's the way everybody should be operating.
Banning shooting at moving vehicles.
Once again, it's SOP. We do not shoot at moving vehicles.
And what happens? I guess they get away. You have a plate. You take down the plate.
Well, there's several things, and it's like a lot of the pursuits. If you know who this person is, there's no reason to pursue them. You're putting everybody else in danger. When I was a street supervisor, they used to talk about me that I was anti-pursuit guy, because I would call everything that was turning into a pursuit, because you have to weigh the consequences. Even at 3 a.m, somebody could be going to work, and you have somebody run a stoplight or a stop sign. You gotta weigh the consequences. Obviously, if you have somebody just murdered someone, you're going to chase them. If you got somebody that didn't use a turn signal or ran a stop sign, what's the worth there? You got to weigh everything. And that's where we put a lot on our supervisors to monitor that as well. Our requirements are, before an officer gets in a pursuit, he has to notify dispatch the reason for the pursuit right off the bat, so everybody knows and it can be called.
And right away, I was the guy that said, hey, before coming in here, pursue them, pursue them, pursue them. But you do make a point. You don't want to let them get away, but you know who that individual is, and the last thing you want is to put innocent individuals, residents in danger. Then.
Right. Okay. You don't know who they're going to put in danger. And like I say, you gotta weigh the consequences.
Well, you talked about requiring use of force continuum, which is also an SOP, and requiring comprehensive reporting. Why is that important?
Well, you have to document everything that happened. That's important for court. It's important for our records keeping. And if you have to use a force that's over, use a baton or use a taser, all that has to be documented. Our charts even show where that was used, what was used before. The officer has to set everything that went into motion before he got to that point in the force continuum. All has to be documented and signed off by a supervisor.
So, Chief, where on the list are we? It sounds like on the SOPs, our standard operating procedures, these items that are being asked on a national basis with large communities, you're already doing these and other items
Right,
already in the city and have been doing those for years.
right. And a lot of that is our in-house training. We have our own defensive tactics instructors. We have our own range officers. All that's huge. They know our SOPs. They know what to train, and they keep up on the current affairs as well.
So what kind of training do our officers go through currently? And that's the other thing, you know, we have quite a few young, new officers, quality individuals. You never know how they're going to act when they're in a situation. How does the community know that they're going to be prepared when their time is, you know, to be ready to go?
Well, we can do the best we can. The best we can do is the vetting process. We go through an extensive background check. It's done by psychiatrists. They turn that report in. It comes back to us on the pension board. I sit on the pension board. I've been on the pension board for, I believe, 16 years. We get a lot of rejects. If there's something comes up, do you get everything? Not always. You can't always get 100% what's going out there, and we don't know. You know, everybody brings something to the job every day, just like every citizen. You don't know what they're going through every day. All we can do is continue to train and continue to drive that home that, you know, everybody matters, you matter, they matter, everybody matters, and let's do this professionally. Nobody gets hurt. And, you know, that's all we can do. And then with that, after that background check, then we do 15 weeks of academy, 14 weeks field training. We just recently, as you know, we had to let an officer go during FTO training, field training. It's not the job for everyone. When you see red flags, you have to take care of it. And we ended that one in that instance in a matter of days, gone. And that's the way we react to things. We can't have that person out there.
And I think that's the important thing for the public to realize. You do make difficult decisions, especially with these individuals that we've hired, and you really, though, don't know until they're in the field. And sometimes, I mean, it is better to remove that officer or officer to be early than wait till something happens down the road. So as difficult it is to have to start over, I'm appreciative that you made that difficult yet probably right decision.
And that's the thing, you know, we're working short, but you got to look at the big picture here. It's better to work short and put somebody out there that's going to cause a problem or be a problem. We certainly don't want that. And, you know, that's when I make the phone call to you and say, this is what we're doing, this is what we got. And it's unfortunate, then we start the process again. But here's a person that passed the backgrounds and everything else, but we caught it, and we caught it soon enough.
And let's see, we have Dusty would also like to say he may have to disagree if they're firing out of the vehicle. He said he thinks they should shoot back. Thoughts from that perspective?
We've talked about that in our SOP. Michigan City had a case a few years ago where the car was actually coming at the officer, and they had the do not shoot at a vehicle, and the officer shot. I think he ultimately lost his job. I think you can have that in your policy, and you got to look at that. You got to look at the circumstance. Obviously, if they're out shooting out of the car and they're shooting at people, yeah, you know, even though it may be a violation, we got to do what we got to do. It's those split-second decisions, and people got to realize that. And, you know, you've got so much racing through their minds, but they're going to do what they can to protect the community. And several officers have said that, you know.
Well, with the most recent incident in Atlanta and how that happened, if that was in LaPorte and the individual was running away, I mean, you've shared with me that, you know who the person is. In LaPorte, that individual wouldn't be shot as he ran away with his back turned. Absolutely
not. Of course, I don't know all the facts, but it's quite obvious that they had been with him for 30 minutes. They knew he didn't. They had patted him down prior to any field sobriety. That's what we would do to make sure they didn't have weapons. Without seeing everything, the way it's leaning right now, no, we would never shoot somebody in the back. They're running away. They're running away. Unless that person is actively shooting at some people sitting at the restaurant, that's a different story. Then you have to stop the action to protect them. But this was nobody, the way it looks right now, nobody was in danger there.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a difficult time to be a police officer. We are doing it right. We are community oriented. We have a great combination of experience as well as new, fresh, young, energetic individuals coming. We see a lot that I don't think is recognized enough about the community involvement that police officers do have, the good that they do in the community. I just saw pictures of a couple officers visiting a young family. Another one, I think it was Erin Jenkins, was out playing soccer in her uniform, and she probably still beat both you and I,
Yes.
even in her uniform. But
For sure.
talk a little bit about some of the positives that you're doing in the community, how the officers try to make a difference.
Well, I think our officers do everything. I mean, we've been baseball coaches, we go out and we serve the community as well. The officers don't brag about it. They got footballs, they got frisbees, they stop, and when these children, they see their faces light up when they give them something, and just that positive approach back and forth, and that's where we got to start. And there's nothing like that when you're on the street and you've been around as long as I have been. You'll have somebody come up to you and they'll say, "Do you remember me?" And you'll tell them you remember. You deal with a lot of people. Some of you remember, some you don't. And they'll say, "Well, I was doing this. One day you caught me skipping school and you got me in your car and you gave me a lecture all the way back to the school, and then when I got in there," and that's the thing that, that's what you're here for. And that's the stories you hear. You don't hear them often, but you hear them. And the guys are out there doing that every day, the guys and girls in our department.
And look how Tim Frankie's turned out after if you brought him back. But no, and those are the things, and it's never easy because people are quick, especially in this day and age, to point out the negative, to point out the problems that are happening, but we can't forego the good things that are happening, especially in our community. And Dion Campbell in Michigan City, Sheriff Boyd, here for LaPorte County. The other nice thing is to see how well you're working together with the different departments, how you've helped each other out. Talk just briefly about that.
Well, when Michigan City had their incident, they knew. I told Dion, I said, "We're on standby for you." And when they made the call, we knew that we had to go. And having that shared, we share everything. We share our information. We have meetings together. That's been huge for us. Dion is very proactive. Him being out there on the street was actually a lot of the drive to get me out there with the protesters too, because he really was out there and he did a good job in Michigan City. Yeah, there was some vandalism, but it could have really been worse, and you got to really commend him for that. And same thing with Sheriff Boyd. He was out there. We were in constant communication that night because we were patrolling LaPorte, not knowing if problems were going to come here. But we were all in constant communication. We were on the same radio frequency, and that's huge. That's huge for all of LaPorte County that we share that.
So when you see an officer, tell them the great job that they're doing. In fact, I see here, Michael Pavey said, "Great job, LaPorte, to all the officers." And then I'm sorry, I skipped one here, so I'm going to go back. LaPorte City and County Police officers rock. So you're getting a lot of great support here. Last winter, a police officer drove by, saw me trying to shovel snow going to my car, and he turned around, stopped, and finished shoveling for me.
And that's great. Those are the stories. I love hearing those. I just love it.
And Nick Bello says, "Hey, a shout out to our reserve officers volunteering to serve our community." Absolutely. I think
absolutely.
You have a young Bello on your reserve office.
It's his father, being Nick's father.
It's Nick's father. I call him young.
Yeah, he's been here for quite a while, but our reserves were huge to us. Didn't hesitate. Even retired officer Terry Shear, who now works for P&W, he came out. He offered. He says, "Hey, LaPorte's my hometown. I'm suiting up." He was out there, and that's huge. That's how these guys feel about their community. The 3 officers we just hired, one moved here from Illinois, and he loves it here already. And he's trying to talk his parents into moving here. And that's huge. That's somebody that's gonna, that's drawn here and is gonna stay here.
Boy, and you can see your passion, your energy. We're going on a rollover time here, and LaPorte's going to be the place to be, and our department's going to match that to keep our residents safe. And again, you mentioned vandalism. That's one thing I've said, and we're not going to tolerate any vandalism in our community. The other thing that you've seen, I want to give an example. 705 Maple today was condemned. We're going to work to find individuals housing, but people shouldn't have to live in subhuman housing in their situations. But as well, how many times till enough is enough are we constantly going to be going over to apartment complexes, rental units, breaking up stabbings, breaking up fights, putting our officers in danger because we have, I'm trying to think of the proper word, rental units that are causing quite a bit of damage and embarrassing our community. And how much time do you spend having to deal with rental units and constantly going to these certain places?
And we know them by the address. As soon as they give them, the guys know where they're going. It seems that several of them have been troubled for years.
And we're not turning our back on them. You're going to improve the situation. Everybody deserves to live in a decent type housing. You also have to take care of it. You can't trash it. But, we're going to have quality housing here in LaPorte, and we've got a lot of work to get there. But as well, we can't constantly calling 3 nights down at Clear Lake in a house, which isn't a rental, but enough.
Right. Enough
is enough. We're not going to turn our back. And if you can't behave, we've got a couple of one-way bus tickets out of here for LaPorte. So I appreciate what you're doing, but we're also not going to turn our back on those constant offenders.
And I appreciate what you're doing. What a lot of people don't know is that you were with me the night of the Michigan City riots in my car with me most of the night. And Nick Otis, a phone call away. It's a team. And the thing is, the police officers see that too. And that really impresses them as well. We've had that proactive mayor. They couldn't believe he's out there with us. He's asking us how we're doing, and that's huge to them too.
Well, we were up at 35 and Highway 39, and we heard bus loads were coming, and if we were going to get it on, we were going to get it on up north. It wasn't going to happen in our downtown where damage was going to take place. So it was great to have a team effort there. Let's see if I have Tom DeLorme said he agrees. Do we train patrol officers in any kind of psychology, body language, or negotiating skills?
Our negotiators are basically for barricaded subjects. We don't have anybody right now. Nobody's really showed interest in that. We've been using the Sheriff's Department, partnering with them. Yes, they do get trained. They get trained in trying to read body language. That's a huge part of it. When you get out of the car and you go on a call, and obviously you can read somebody, sometimes you hope you're reading them wrong, but you're just in that heightened sense like you should be anyway.
So Sherry Shelton said the officers do know the drug houses. They chase them out of our neighborhood. Thank you to Carl Jackson relaying the info and keeping in touch with me. And leading by example. Adam Reed said this is what they've needed for years. So you have quite a bit of support. And again, we have a great young team combination. So, Chief, anything that you'd like to close up on? I don't see any new questions. Anything you'd like to close up about? Reserve officers, I know, are difficult, but people are interested.
Yeah, we have apps for them.
And you also have, right now, we have 40 officers, and you're going to, and not all are in
right
duty or on duty, but you have a training class or
in
testing.
August. Agility test on June 23rd, Tuesday.
June 23rd.
At PNW.
At PNW. So we have another 6 to 9 officers that are potential.
We've invited 9, and I think we've heard back from 7.
We've also, and I've made an effort actually since winning in November, of talking to young individuals of color, trying to engage them to say, have you ever considered a career in law enforcement? I've tried to pull a couple that have some law enforcement experience in their family. I haven't been able to do that so far in the past, but that's continual. So we have a diverse group of officers that are ready to serve and protect.
Right, and I think in this class, or this, the ones that are testing, we've got 2 women, and I believe the rest are men. And historically, the women have really kicked butt in our agility test.
They actually do. I've seen it.
That's why I don't participate in it. Everybody would kick me, so.
Well, with that, Chief, we'll keep you around here in case we get any questions. I would like to turn to the first time for our Human and Community Relations Director, Jen Noll. Jen, welcome to our AMA Ask Me Anything.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So, Jen, let's talk a little bit about the beginning phases of enacting a diversity initiative. You're leading the charge on that. Talk a little bit about that and the goals for the city.
Sure. The idea is, in light of recent events, it's become clear that the city needs to be more proactive in what we offer to the community and some of the events that we hold here to be more welcoming to the residents of our community. So that being said, the diversity initiative that we're kind of in the brainstorming phase for, we're looking to partner with the Indiana Civil Rights Commission on some educational seminars that would be open to the City of LaPorte employees as well as the community, and going over what the laws are that would protect unlawful discrimination based on protected classes. And then I've also reached out to the LaPorte County Public Library on some diversity education and some programming that we can partner with the library on to offer to the community as well. One thing I wanted to mention too was that just yesterday the Supreme Court ruled that the federal civil rights law protects the LGBTQ community. So that's a major win for them. So it's now federally illegal to discriminate on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity. That's something that we've had in our employment policy for a period of years. So was happy to see that move forward through the Supreme Court.
And as well, we've been spending time talking to different individuals from different race, colors, and so forth. And as well, we have a meeting coming up with the LGBTQI IA community coming up in a couple weeks. Jen, talk a little bit about that. We're just trying to find out, how do we make sure they feel welcome in our community?
Yeah, so we're looking forward to meeting with them. Perhaps that's having a cultural fair or doing something to recognize LGBTQ or Pride Month. So I'm just looking forward to having that conversation with them and kind of want to invite, any other cultural organizations that are local here who want to meet with city administration to see what we can do to partner with them as well. One of the ideas too is that the city of LaPorte has not historically done anything for Black History Month. So that's something on our radar as well that we want to do and recognize. Another thing that the Indiana Civil Rights Commission does and that they offer is that, they can actually be here at the city of LaPorte at City Hall for anyone who wants to file a claim of discrimination or for fair housing discrimination questions related to that. They are the experts. They have a legal counsel that actually hears those claims. And so it takes kind of the city out of that, and the Indiana Civil Rights Commission would then handle those.
And why wouldn't you want an organization that's prepared to deal with those type of complaints professionally versus volunteers that may not know how to do that? As appreciative as we are of individuals in our community that are willing to serve, why wouldn't you want an individual that has a complaint to go to the Indiana Civil Rights Commission?
Right. I mean, I think that that's definitely the goal. You definitely want somebody who has that background, who's able to be fair, knows all of the federal and state laws pertaining to harassment and discrimination, actually, reading and making judgment on those claims. The Indiana Civil Rights Commission, you can do your complaint process over the phone. You can do the complaint online, and you can even mail in your complaint. So there's a number of ways that your complaints can be heard. And so this is open to all residents in the state of Indiana.
Not even related to that, but what else from a city perspective with mental health and so forth are we trying to do to make sure, at least starting with our employees?
Yeah, so we already have an employee assistance program where all employees, even part-time employees, receive 4 free sessions. And that's household, so it doesn't have to be the employee specifically. It could be their spouse, it could be their child that would receive 4 free mental health counseling sessions should somebody, be in need of those services. And then once those run out, then it would fall back on your major medical insurance. But we would help with the coordination of that process for sure.
Great.
One thing I also want to mention that we were already enacting, and Jess, thank you for mentioning this earlier to me in an email, but our utilities bill, monthly, we've got a newsletter that goes into that. And so that insert will now also be in Spanish. So we'll have English and Spanish. So that's something that, we're putting into place right now. One of the other ideas is, hopefully we can host a cultural fair by inviting local ethnic and diversity associations to participate in that. I know my mother is a part of the Filipino American Association. So I know that there are other associations out there locally that we'd like to invite to participate in a cultural fair.
Well, and I think those are the type of things that welcome community members. I've talked to many of my black friends to talk about, what do they see, what do they want to be a part of, and they've mentioned the Black History Month. They think it would be important in February, as well as maybe some of these different festivals and so forth. So we would welcome that.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to partnering with the community on these types of initiatives. And I would also welcome if any community members have any other ideas, I'm all ears. So feel free to contact me. Working remotely right now, but my email is jnoll, Noll, at cityoflaportein.gov.
And Jen, if somebody does have a civil rights complaint, what is the best way to, who should they contact to move that concern forward?
So they should contact the Indiana Civil Rights directly. They can contact my office if they have questions on how to proceed with that. But it's not something that we could file for them. So we could guide them through that process. Their website is in.gov/ICRC. And it's pretty easy to navigate. They've got a complaint process tab right there on their homepage, and then it walks you right through the steps of how to file. If you don't have access to the internet, again, you can call them, and that number is 317-232-2600. And then they also accept complaints by mail and in person. They are actually in Indianapolis, but that's why we're looking to partner with them so that, perhaps they can come up to LaPorte for 1 or 2 days and take complaints in person here locally as well.
That'd be great. And the toll free is 1-800-628-2909. And so again, why, with the technology today and everything available, why wouldn't we want an organization or a committee or commission that can handle these type of complaints and actually resolve them?
Exactly.
So I think, Jen, that's about it. From your perspective, we do have, and thank you for that. And we will continue. If you do have ideas, please contact Jen Noll regarding that. A couple of things before I mention a couple other notes. Chief, fireworks is an important part for the next few weeks, and we can't do everything. But, and we've mentioned, and some of the things that the chief and I are working on, you know, police work has evolved into catching the lost dog, doing these things that really don't lead to dealing with the drug dealers, the drug traffickers, and the important thing to keep things that keep our community safe. And we're going to look at my request, of how much can we do and where should their focus be. And so the community can't have everything, especially with the limited officers. And I'm going to look at saying, hey, is it our job to start maintaining the animals, the dogs in our community? And people won't like that. They won't be happy. But I'd much rather focus the time on what's going to keep our community safe. But if you want to mention fireworks, we ask the public, follow the rules. The rules are, I'm not sure the deadline of when that can begin, but
It's usually, generally, if you figure a week before the 4th and a week after, on their own property.
I don't think we're there yet.
No,
But I am hearing quite a few boomers.
right. And if they call, we respond to them.
So, yes, we do try to respond, and but they seem to be going off everywhere late at night. So please, with the public, respond to that.
And it's just like everything. We have to catch them actually firing them off, so we have to witness who's lighting them, so.
And there is a City of LaPorte ordinance, and thank you, Annette Leffler, the glue that holds us together. I will read this from June 28th through July 3rd, and from July 5th through July 9th, Memorial Day and Veterans Day between the hours of 5 p.m. and 11 p.m., on July 4th between the hours of 10 a.m. and 12 midnight. And then, of course, New Year's Eve, I believe. So the penalty for violation of this ordinance is a fine of $300, Article 1, Section 70-4, consumer fireworks. So get your violation books out.
Oh, they've written them in the past several times.
And then dogs on leashes. I know someone, Joy Leffler, who said we're doing great, but dogs on leashes, keep your dogs on a leash,
Right,
especially in the parks.
yeah. That we get a lot of complaints on that too. But it's, like I say, by the time you get out there, and we've had those discussions about officers being tied up on other calls all the time, working short.
And interested in seeing more officers on Lakeshore Drive enforcing the speed limit. I can tell you firsthand, they are out there. Sundays, you've taken my calls. We've had the speed radar. But you know what? We need some people to use common sense and, you know,
Exactly.
slow down a little bit, because, again, we can't be everywhere. And right now, we are 10 officers down.
Right,
We're in a transition period, 10 officers down. We can't be everywhere. But Pine Lake Avenue, again, you've had officers out, you've had the radar out, but Stone Lake, there have been issues there, and people even going the wrong way, so that's a transition as well.
I'm hoping with the construction, the one-way thing is gonna fix itself here soon. But like, we keep reminding officers to be up there, but like you say, they're answering so many calls, they can't always be up there.
Also, the Park Department wants to remind everybody, it is against state law to discharge fireworks in parks. And let's see here. We'll see any other questions while. No, they are not. I live here. Well, Nicole, I will tell you, they are. I've seen the officers. I had them there, and other of your neighbors have seen them there. And we will continue to be there. So also, mobile food distribution tomorrow at the Civic from 10 a.m. to noon. It's free, first come, first serve. It's contactless. You do not even have to get out of your car. Just drive through, open your trunk, and they'll place the food, the box of food items in your car for you. Transport is running a survey of riders. If you utilize transport services, please take the time to complete the survey so that we can continue to improve our system. You can get a survey on any transport bus, or you can take it at the link on the city's Facebook page. Right now, the city has to contribute $180,000, basically as a break-even point for transport. We have financial strains coming our way due to COVID and lack of state funding as well, and other items that we'll be talking about closer into July and August. But we're going to have to make some changes, and there's opportunities to, find new ways transport can help residents get around in the community. We'd love to hear your ideas. Also, if you haven't already, please go subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got some pretty exciting things coming. Our channel has all our AMAs, City Council, Board of Works meetings. To subscribe, go to youtube.com and search City of LaPorte. Make sure you're clicking LaPorte, Indiana, not LaPorte, Texas. You can also find the link to our channel on my Facebook page as well as the city's. Again, the other part that I would like to talk about is we condemned a rental property today, 705 Maple, and Lisa Piersikowski is working from Center Township to help people find housing, but we are not going to accept subhuman housing, and what we saw firsthand is unacceptable for anybody to live in. So we're making those difficult decisions. I applaud Jeff Batchelor, code enforcement, and we're going to continue to move where those rental owners do not want to make the appropriate updates to the housing. And again, people have to pay the rent. They have to do their part as well. But this goes well beyond COVID for the past few months. This has been going on for years, as you have said, and we're not going to accept it. So I think Brett Benversi said food giveaway will be in the Ridge Street lot. Feed Indiana is putting on that event. So, and I'm glad that Brett Benversi, everybody, did shave his beard. Congratulations to Brett in advance. He's getting married this week, and it may have been in question if he would have left that beard up there. With that, have I missed anything? I want to thank Tim Frankie from Duneland Media. If there's an opportunity or you need as a business somebody to promote during this tough time, Tim Frankie is where it's at, technology-wise, social media-wise, website delivery to allow you to compete not only at a local but a state and national basis. You can have it right here in your backyard. Tim Frankie's phone number is 312 316 0980. That's 312-316 0980. And also Jess Bruder, our communications director. Thank you for all your work. And we actually have our free intern. What's the term? Job shadower, Alexa Kosher here, learning all the technology. So I get the right, Jen, I think I got the right term there. Job shadower. And also Red Cross blood drive in the lower level of the Civic from 8 to 1, Thursday, June 18th. So there we go. My cell phone is 219-363-7293. We appreciate all the individuals that want to make LaPorte a better place and enjoy living here. And we've got more work to do, but we will get there. And any questions, day or night, text or call me. And we appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next AMA. Thank you for your time. Have a great night.